Well, hey there, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for today's Ask the SQL Experts session. This is our fourth edition of doing this type of webinar, and we're super happy that you're able to join. My name is Brandy Lulling, and I am the support manager here for the BI team at Fortra. And I have three of your beloved SQL experts with me today, Scott, Jackie, and Rich. I'm sure you've spoken with at least one, if not all three of them, at some point in time when you either call or create a portal case for support assistance. And we are all very happy to be here and share some knowledge with you. We've got four unique topics that we'd like to discuss. Scott's going to kick us off with some tips and tricks on how to upgrade SQL. Jackie's going to do an introduction to dashboards and show how easy those are to create. And Rich is going to discuss our new feature that's available that replaces run remote command with a much more user-friendly command in the use of a native IBMI Java server. And then I have some tips and tricks for just some general Viewpoint usability, some things that we found that everybody here in support knows, and we want to make sure you do too. We should have some time at the end for some Q&A. However, if we don't, we either run out of time or we aren't able to get to your question, we will follow up with you after the session today with an email. Don't hesitate to submit your questions at any point along the way, though. All right, so let's go ahead and get us started. Scott?
Good morning. My name is Scott Hatch, and I am a BI support analyst, and I would like to show you how to easily upgrade SQL. It is an easy process, a lot easier than walking this trail that you see from all the way back in the background where these ships are to where my son and I are here. To upgrade SQL, you'll need to go to the support.fortra.com site. You'll have to log in with your account. If you don't have an account, you'll need to register. And you'll want to utilize the Continue with Microsoft process as far as your verification. Once you've got into the site, under the products, you'll go to the SQL Data Access. You'll then go to the downloads. You'll select the SQL version 19 or whatever version you're going to be downloading, and then you'll select the SQL software for the IBMI. Once you've completed the download process, you can select the setup SQL that is in your File Explorer Downloads folder, run as administrator, select the software for the IBMI, it'll prompt you for details on which system you want to upgrade. At that point, you'll make sure that you put in your QSEC offer or a related sign-in with authority. When you get to the product load options, select the stage load. That gives you visibility to perform the upgrade without going immediately in and upgrading to allow you to end jobs as you see fit. Once the product has uploaded properly, you'll see a product process which is completed successfully. You'll see a command there that you can run on the IBMI. Click on that command and then do a paste, and you'll actually see that command on your IBMI command line. When you click enter, it'll bring you to a screen where you'll see access to the work with loads. At the load screen, you'll see that you have your stage version and the installed version. So what you're trying to do is get the installed version up to the stage version. You'll select 1 on SQL. That will be the path that we'll start with. During the install process, you'll get a screen that'll come up that show you the versions that you're going to be upgrading. As you see, you can upgrade SQL, SQL Web, eSend, and Sky Agent at the same time. If you don't have Sky Agent, don't worry, you can just press enter here. We do suggest that you run it interactively as it's showing on this screen. Once that begins, the first part of the process you'll see will be to install the eSend objects. It always installs eSend first. Then you'll see it's starting the SQL install process. It'll start processing all the objects. There'll be quite a few objects that you'll see. This is usually a good sign that you've made progress through here. So starting processing objects is the first key that you're going to probably have a successful install. You'll then see a congratulations screen that will show you that the product has completed successfully. And then you'll see that the stage version has completed at this point. You'll be at R11M19. So that will match from your standpoint right there.
That was great, Scott. Excellent tips. Thank you so much. All right, let's go ahead and talk about some dashboards. Jackie?
Hi, this is Jackie, and I am going to be talking about and showing you how to get started with dashboards. So first, what is a dashboard? So a SQL dashboard provides a quick access screen to things like Viewpoint objects, web pages, gauges, and even Windows programs. You can add action buttons to a dashboard that can kick off a Viewpoint script or other process. You can also add images and text elements to customize the way you would like your dashboard to look. It can be thought of as a snapshot of the health of a business. So similar to how your vehicle or your car's dashboard is an at-a-glance glimpse of what's going on with your vehicle, you can think of it as the same way with the SQL dashboard. So if I looked at a SQL dashboard, I could possibly see in real time what's going on with my data or KPIs, same as you can see with your car. What's your tire pressure? What's your current speed? How much time do you have before you run out of gas? Things like that. Designing a dashboard is very easy with Viewpoint. Once your dashboard is complete, you have an option to save it as either an IBM I object or as a PC shortcut. You might want to save it as a PC shortcut in case you want to deploy it to end users. You can just send them the shortcut and then they can place that on their desktop for ease of use at runtime. Items can be set to auto run upon launch of the dashboard. So once the dashboard is launched, certain items can already start running so the end user doesn't have to click on them. You also have the option to auto refresh certain objects, and that allows you to have as close as possible real-time data. You can view and interact with dashboards via the SQL Web interface. That's separately licensed. You can insert charts, graphics, web pages, and you also have the ability to use different fonts and colors or KPIs in a dashboard. So here we have two very simple dashboards. The one on the top is a simple view, and it has 4 different gauges. Now in this dashboard, these gauges all are displaying the same data, but it's just showing you the different options of how you would like to display those gauges or which type of gauge you'd like to use. The one on the bottom is also pretty simple. It has a SQL object and then the matching line graph or chart. Now this dashboard is a little busier. This one has several SQL objects. We also have a chart, a nice colorful chart. And then we also have a gauge. We've got a web page. And here we see those action buttons that I mentioned in the beginning. So action buttons are literal buttons that the end user will click on, and then it will perform some process. These two are titled to let you know what they're actually going to do. So this top one is going to run a script called script 2, and the one on the bottom, the pink one, is going to display view results. And here you can see the use of some of the colors. The background of this dashboard is a kind of a beige, and then we made our two action buttons different colors so they'll stand out. So to create a new dashboard, like most items in SQL Viewpoint, you start at the Explorer screen and you can select File, New Dashboard, or from the New tab, you can select SQL Dashboard. When you open a brand new dashboard, you have this screen pictured here. So on the left, you have this design space. And on the right, we see a properties panel. And just know that the properties panel will definitely look different in a brand new dashboard versus editing an existing. There's two pull-down menus that you will most likely spend the most time with when working with a dashboard. The Insert menu and the Options menu. Under the Insert menu, you have all the different types of things you can add to a dashboard. And under the Options menu, we have things like dashboard defaults, where you can set certain default settings for the dashboard and all objects on the dashboard. We have Change SQL Objects, System, and Library. And that is a really helpful feature. So what that does is, say you have a different iSeries, or maybe some of your objects have been moved to a different library. In the past, you would have to start over and create a new dashboard, or at least remove those objects and place new ones on there. This option allows you to just make the switch to the different system or library, and then you don't have to do your dashboard over again. So that's a nice feature. Another nice feature is the SQL results mode. So in the past, when you were working with dashboards, you would have to save your dashboard, close out of the designer, double click it to run it to see how it's going to look. Now you can do that within the designer itself by selecting Enter SQL Results Mode without having to get out and then come back in. So the Properties panel, this is what it looks like in a new dashboard. And up at the very top above the word Properties is this little arrow. And if you click on that arrow, it will hide the Properties panel and give you a little bit more design space real estate. And then you can just click it back and it will show up again. Under Properties, we have different design options for background color. You can add a background image, snap to grid, grid spacing. So if you have an existing dashboard and you need to edit it, you can simply right-click on it, just like you do everything else in Viewpoint, and select Design. And we also get the same workspace and properties panel, but now we can see that the properties dropdown has the items in the list that are present on the dashboard. So you could click dashboard to modify the properties for the dashboard itself, like the background image or the background color, and then select individual objects on the dashboard to modify properties for those. Under the File menu, if you select Preview in Browser, it allows you to see how the dashboard would appear in SQL Web Interface, and that is separately licensed as a reminder. Saving the dashboard is the same as all other objects in Viewpoint. If it's a brand new dashboard, you would select File Save As to get your two options of saving as a PC file or shortcut, or as a System I object. There's additional dashboard resources available. We have the tried and true Viewpoint Help menu, the Viewpoint User Guide, and of course you can always contact us at Fortra in technical support for SQL Viewpoint. Happy dashboarding!
Happy dashboarding indeed. Thanks, Jackie. That was great. I love playing with dashboards. Just the visualization of your data makes it so powerful. All right, Rich, go ahead and take it away. Let's learn about how we can replace that run remote command.
Hello, and welcome to my presentation about the Run Remote command. My name is Rich Galiba, and I'm a technical consultant on the SQL support line, and you may have talked to me in the past. Well, this afternoon I'm here to discuss the Run Remote command, which is a process that's usually used in a script, and you may not be using it in your environment, but so if you're not, thanks for watching, and I think you'll still get some good ideas about creating output for the process that replaces run remote command. Now, run remote command is frequently used, or was mostly used, with an object type that you can build in SQL called the SQL client report. Now, I have my SQL Viewpoint session open here. I'm going to connect to my host server. Remember, we're working with a PC client, Viewpoint, connected to the IBM On the server, I have a report called CROREP, C-R-O-R-E-P, and it's a special type of object. It's a SQL client report. And if I run that, we'll go to the recent tab. If I run that, just to give you an idea of the type of output it creates, we'll see the results rendered in a second here. So what's happening as I run this report is there's a view tied to it, a SQL view, and that's doing the data retrieval. The data retrieval, of course, is on the IBM I. The job is running on the IBM I to get the data. But in order to render this report, it has to be rendered on the PC. And that's the reason we use the run remote command. We're sending a command to the Viewpoint PC. So out in your network, you have a server that serves Viewpoint and it monitors for Viewpoint requests. Well, when the run remote command is sent, it is sent to this PC to run the report and render it, then do something with it. And in our case, we're going to email it. But the big thing is here is what if you could do this all day long in Viewpoint, and the client report is a little fancier than the spool file output, which is another report type. But if you wanted to automate this from the IBM I, because it's rendered on the PC, that wasn't possible unless you used the run remote command. Again, the run remote command sent an instruction from the IBM I to the PC to start a Viewpoint job, run the report, render it, and then save it someplace. So somewhat complex process, but it worked well. And I know there's a few users out there, few installations out there that are using this process. So what happened is with the client access update, IBM Navigator was the last place you could use the run remote command. And we needed a solution to be able to contain this job on the IBM I instead of sending a command to a Viewpoint PC. So in the next few minutes, I'm just going to show you how that process works and how much more simplified it is to produce this type of output and then email it. Again, this is a report called Crow Rep. It shows a client report, which is really Crystal Reports rebranded, and it gives you the ability to create these nice formats for report output. Obviously, you could see graphs, charts, color-coded font, shade boxes, all sorts of capabilities within client report, and it does a real nice job at creating nice output documents. Now, if you want to automate that, we want to be able to run that job on the IBM I instead of using the run remote command, which has been decremented by IBM. If I didn't complete my thought before, the current Access Client Solutions no longer supports that command, and it is somewhat of a security risk, I assume. You need to run the run remote command on a Windows 7 server, and it basically won't run in a Windows 10. So again, we have a compelling reason to use this new process if you have a run remote command jobs active on your system. So here's the result of our client report. I just wanted to show you that I rendered that result. It's multiple pages, and it shows this nice graph information by region. I'm going to close the report back to Viewpoint. And as I said, generally we want to automate these jobs. And if we wanted to automate a client report, we would put it in a script. And let me open the script in design mode. Let me reframe this so it fits properly. And we're going to take a look at the new command that will replace the run remote command. Here's how the run remote command is currently set up to create output and email it. 2 lines in the script. The first line uses the run remote command to send a DOS type command string. Send a DOS type command string to run the Viewpoint executable. Find the view on the server in a particular library and the object name. So this is a command string with command switches. Then find that report, run it, save the output to the IFS, pass variables if needed, and identify the server that's going to be listening for that request. So somewhat complex, but from the IBM I, we were able to contact this server, HS0909, send that DOS string with all of the control switches in order to run the report and save it. Well, that's just created a report and put it on the IFS. Then the second step you needed to do if you wanted to email that report is to issue an eSend mail command. So the second line of the script simply picks up that report that we just saved and emails it to somebody. It works fine, yes, but again, it's out of favor. So let me remark out these 2 lines that we're going to replace. Let me comment them out. And again, I'm in a script editor. If you haven't seen this is a good place to create a script process to run multiple commands in a job. So this is a job that you might schedule, and it'll run the script. And when the script runs, it's going to process commands. And again, instead of using run remote command to create the document and then email it, we're going to replace this with a new command that's available as of SQL R11 M18, and it's called SQJ Crow. So I'm going to go ahead and type that command in and then prompt that. So use F4 to prompt. I'm going to specify the report that we just saw called Crow Rep. And I will specify the library where that report can be located. And it will be SQL EX2. If I use the stream file parameter, we could specify a attachment name. So we'll call the attachment regionreport.pdf. That'll be the attachment name. The recipient is the person we want to email this to, and I'll send it back to my email address. We won't include a message, but the subject will specify that we're sending a region report. So here's the command to create the report and email it. If there are variables involved, of course, we can handle them and pass those, but I'm just specifying the report I want to run, the email address I want to send it to, and the attachment name I want to use. So line 6 now replaces line 2 and 4. We don't have to have a Viewpoint server out there configured in your network to listen to these commands, and it contains everything within the job on the IBMI. This SQJ Crow uses a new Java engine that we install to render the report, to do the work that we saw on the PC. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the run button. I'll watch my email for that message to arrive. It should arrive shortly. And I'll show you that, and we'll be finished with this short presentation. So we're just waiting for the email to come through, reviewing the messages at the bottom of the script. Status window indicates that the mail instructions have been issued, records were transferred, so that looked to appear to process normally. And here let me make sure that email comes through. And here it is. Here is the email with attachment, region report. Double click on that PDF document, and that's the same report that we just saw while we were in Viewpoint. A much quicker process, easier to create the command string, and less complexity with this new replacement command. And again, the other bonus is we don't have to have a PC installed with Viewpoint on it to listen for these remote commands. Well, thanks for watching for the last few minutes. If you have any additional or follow-up questions, don't hesitate to give us a call and support. Now for our next presenter. Thank you.
Well, replacing the run remote command is a really good idea, if nothing else, for ease of use, right? Run remote command, the command itself is really powerful, but not super user-friendly. However, on the other hand, Rich, right, the SQJ Crow command, much easier to use. So thank you for all that information. I'm up next, and will be the last presenter for the day. And I'm going to cover some tips and tricks on Viewpoint and usability features. Thought to yourself, I wonder if I could do this or that in Viewpoint. Well, the chances are, you probably can. So over the next few minutes, I'm going to explore a few of the hidden gems, if you will, of the Viewpoint Tools menu and how it can be used to customize your Viewpoint environment to make your day-to-day use of the product just a little bit easier. So the first thing I really want to start with before we even get into the Tools menu is a real quick discussion on logging in. When you go to log in, you may be prompted or you may not. Or you may be prompted once and then multiple times throughout the day, and you're constantly getting prompted and you want to get that to be changed. Well, that actually happens outside of Viewpoint. So let me take you over to IBM's Access Client Solutions. We'll go into System Configurations, and then we'll edit the system entry. In the Connection tab is where you'll find the different options for password prompting, whether you use a shared credential or Kerberos, or you prompt every single time, which is going to be what leads you to being prompted multiple times per day or per session anyway, or if you want to set up a default username. Once you create or select the option that you want, you can exit out of this window, and then you'll have to go into Copy Connections, remove the connection from the right side with just a delete, and then copy it again back over. You just close Viewpoint and reopen, and your new prompt setting will take effect. All right, so now let's go ahead and get into the Tools menu. Our first stop is logging, and if you've worked at all with support, I'm sure you've had to send at least one log in your career with us. So, record a Viewpoint log will get us a lot of information, not only about what's going on and any potential errors, but it also gives us versioning information that's super important. The other set of logs that's available is the .NET Provider logging. Now, if you don't have this option in Viewpoint, you may just have to upgrade the product. This is a newer set. It may say IBMI Access Logging instead of .NET Provider. So we want to make sure that we are on the later, more current version so we can get the correct logs. And then we have an error log and a trace log here. Once the issue has been recreated, you can take the option for send logs if you would like, and we will open a new email and bundle the error log and trace log together along with the Viewpoint log. So kind of a one-stop shop. Editing your library list is going to change your Viewpoint job. So whenever you open Viewpoint, you connect to your IBMI, we have a job that opens and starts running. And that library list is controlled here. We have a list of the system libraries that are available to be selected. And then where do you want them put in your library? Do you want them put in the system portion? So they're kind of the most important ones, kind of up at the top of the library list. Do you want it set at the current library? Or more towards the bottom, just so it's part of the library list, but not necessarily the most important? Now you will notice that the system portion and the user portion of the library list pull in the values for QSysLibel and QUserLibel, the two system values. If you were to remove any one of these libraries, it is not going to change the system value. We just pull them in for ease of use, but again, they do not make any changes to the system value, whether you add something or remove something from this particular interface. Now the font is something that I always change because, to be honest, the product ships with a very tiny font. It's like font size 8. And, in my opinion, if you're old enough to work, you're too old for a font size 8. Who can see that? So I like to go something different. I prefer Verdana or Arial, Comic Sans even. And I change it, I bump it up to a 12 or 14 so that I can actually see what I'm doing. So when you make this change, it will change the Viewpoint Explorer screen, so this main screen here, and the new tab and the recent tab. Inside individual views, there is additional font controls available. But this font under the Tools menu will change the font for the main Explorer screen. Let's get into the Viewpoint options. I always recommend having Enable Keep Alive set, and a frequency of 300 seconds should be fine. What this does is every, for example, 300 seconds, we will just send a ping to your IBMI, just kind of behind the scenes, just so your connection doesn't time out. If you have an inactivity timer set, we don't want you timing out and losing your connection, and this will help with that. The design function allows you to make some customized selections on how you want to work with the design view of your views. Do you want to be able to see the field name and alias, or do you want to see the alias and attributes and the text? This is going to be when you choose a new field to create your views with, what's in that main box. How do you fields in your from box to be sorted? By default, we sort by the position that the fields are in the file. but you could sort some other way by name, for example, in alphabetical order. And if you have a bunch of logicals, do you want to see those logicals when you're selecting your files to build on, or do you want to hide them? The show properties gives you an option to choose what you want to see when you add a field to a view. Do you want to see the alias name or the alt name? Do you want to see the CSID? Maybe that's important because you've got a database with multiple CSIDs. All of that can be customized. The file qualifier, again, works with the from statement. Do you want it to be qualified by the file name or number? And then do you want it to be field.file or file.field? In addition, we've got some join options. If you have this ensure files are joined box selected, we will do just that. We will give you a warning or a pop-up message anytime you have a view that's created with more than one file and they don't have a join. And that's just a, hey, wait a minute, are you sure you want to run this as a full Cartesian join? That can bring its system to its knees, quite honestly. So are you really sure you want to do that? But that can be turned off. Enable auto joining is a fantastic feature. The auto join is really a dictionary that you would need to populate so that anytime you have multiple files in a view, we would join them automatically for you. So if you have the customer master file and an order master file or a sales history file, we know how that they're joined together. So you don't have to do it manually. Your users don't have to know. We can take care of that. And that would be done through the Viewpoint administrator. Right, and then the view layout. This is going to allow you to decide what you want the results to look like. Do you want to apply odd even colors? And if so, what do you want those to be? I've seen some really obnoxious ones. I think I saw like a bright pink and orange alternating. Personally, that would give me a headache, but if that's what you want and that's what you like, absolutely go for it. You can also change the type of grid lines. Maybe you like the way it looks with the raised grid lines. And there's all kinds of different options. Grouping, and then additional style editing where you can change fonts and the font style and how to apply that. And then the column editor is actually available within the view, and that's how you would add your KPIs. Right. In addition to viewpoint options, there's also some SQL defaults, and these can be controlled in several different ways. You can control, each user can control their own if they have authority to do so, from inside Viewpoint or from a command line, or administrators can make those changes as well using the Viewpoint administrator. Now, if you don't have administrator installed, you would just need to run back through the Viewpoint installation and make sure you check the box to say install administrator. Now, there will be a password that will be required that support would be happy to provide for you. So, and that's just to help security wise, because not every Viewpoint user should be considered an administrator. If you're interested in administrator functions, we have a class actually that we can help with that, or we can do some mentoring. But I did just want to point out that the join database that I was talking about, the join dictionary, if you will, that is controlled through the administrator. Well, that was very fast. Some, again, usability tips and tricks. Hopefully you learned something that'll be helpful. Again, we covered how to change your login prompts, access the logs, setting library lists, changing fonts, and so on. So that brings us to the end of our webinar today. hopefully you had a good time with us. I know all four of us had fun presenting. I'll just speak for my team here. We covered upgrading SQL with Scott, dashboards with Jackie, and then Rich took us into replacing Run Remote Command with SQJ Crow. And again, I just finished up here with the Viewpoint usability. I did want to point out as well that we have several training options available: live instructor-led courses, on-demand classes, or even mentoring. Lots of different topics that we have available. Reach out to any one of us in support or to your account executive, and we can get you more information on availability and pricing. So thank you again so much for joining. We really do appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be with us, and also for being a SQL and Fortra customer. Have a wonderful rest of your day.